Do you want to be a consultant or a coach? Where are you going to play the game? In this short video, we will discuss the pros and cons of both and highlight the business models that go with each of them. Hi, I'm Russell Cummings from Shift. I find that particularly when we're starting out either as in an advisory business of some sort or a coaching or a consulting business, there's a question that we need to ask ourselves, and that's whether we're going to be a consultant or a coach. And you're probably wondering what I mean when I say that. And so for me, there's a continuum that runs from consulting on the left-hand side here over to this side, which is coaching, and probably training sits in the middle. And what I'm saying is consulting is very much a discipline, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying they're very different. And what they do is it has an impact on how you market and promote yourself and the sort of structure of your products and services and your pricing. So for me, consulting is very much around having that specialist knowledge, a deep technical skill and a deep technical knowledge which you're known for. You tend to go into businesses, make recommendations, write reports, do stuff for the client in that business, more telling, all that sort of stuff, and it tends to be very project oriented. Typically, if you're an accountant, your accounting services are very much consulting services because you are asked questions and you need to have the answer. You need to have the deep technical knowledge to understand the tax implications of a particular solution. And therefore, I find most accountants come from a very much consulting background. Now, the business model for consulting can be fine, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of this in a second. But you just need to know that's what you are. Training sits in the middle, and it's sort of a blur between the two, really, where you've got a bit of specialist knowledge, but often quite a deep technical skill. It's more about facilitation and instruction. It can often be workshop-based. Often it gives you an opportunity to build programs and have a program-based service, but often they're discrete projects, and you get paid on a project basis. And at the other end of the spectrum, we have coaching, right? And this is, you're more of a generalist, but with specific coaching skills. The interactions are often one-to-one rather than group, but that will vary a little bit. It's about facilitation and mentoring. So facilitation is about not telling people the answer. It's about working through a process so that they show the answer, and mentor is about applying some of your experience to help that process. Often very limited reporting and those sort of stuff, and it's much easier to build a retainer-based business. Now, the pros and cons of these, I find that consulting is very much around, you often have larger project dollars, so the total dollar value of the project can be significant, but often at a lower daily rate than what I can get doing sort of coaching and other things. That's because there's just a lot more days in it. You're actually delivering stuff in the organisation, and it's harder to get those higher daily rate. Normally quite discrete and tight time frames. You need to have updated technical skills, and that means that you're constantly in danger of having to pull rabbits out of the hat all the time. So you need to be updating your technical skills and staying at the front end of it. It's a real risk with consulting projects that you run into feast or famine with timing. So you've either got all your projects on the go or you've got no projects on the go. Getting the timing between ramping down a project and starting up a new project right is very, very difficult. So I often find in consulting businesses we often go through this feast and famine, sort of scenario, and you've got to be constantly selling, all right, because the projects have a discrete time frame. You've often got to be selling to sell the next project, find the next project. You're constantly looking for work. In terms of training programs, often again there can be larger dollar values, again lower daily rates. It can be a very competitive market for training, so you've got to have something quite unique to be able to pick up a premium in that marketplace. Timeframes again are discrete. Your opportunity to build programs, so you can actually sell a range of training programs, that sort of stuff. It's a little bit of a risk of the feast or famine with timing as well, and you've similarly got to be constantly selling to find the next job. Now with coaching, they're often smaller project values, higher daily rates, longer term timeframes, retainer-based arrangements, which mean you end up with consistent revenue. And if you can stack coaching engagements on top of each other, you can build a strong core business in there that keeps you in consistent revenue. Often there's less selling because they're longer term engagements. You're not turning over clients and projects as quickly, so therefore you can have less selling in terms of less selling activity. So all these are viable business models. You just need to pick the one that's right for you. So what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be a consultant? Do you want to be a coach? Do you want to be a trainer? And in many businesses, you may be a blend of those, but you'll have a primary discipline. So in my business, I'm sort of 70 to 80% coach. I do a little bit of training, and then I do some consulting work, largely around niche projects and strategic planning workshops is what I tend to do. So 70 to 80% of my business though is locked in on long-term retainers with coaching clients. So I operate as a coach. So you'll need to have a think about what you want to be. It doesn't matter what you want to be, but you need to be clear on what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to focus your activity, because then you can start to create an offer, which is part of your marketing. So you can do that strategic marketing around who's your target client, then what is your product or service, how are you going to price it, how are you going to fit it together, and then lastly, what's the messaging you're going to take to market. But that's time for another video. Okay. The next step for you is just to really think this through. Take some time to think through what you'd like to be, and then you can move on to the next phases after that. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email or give me a call or a text. Love to hear from you. Thanks.